Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to be bringing you one of my favorite games, possibly my favorite game of all time. Uh, I have very fond memories of playing this game as a child. It is none other than The Lost Files of Sherlock Holmes, The Case of the Serrated Scalpel. This was published by Electronic Arts in 1992. So that gives you an idea of how old this game is. So we're going back to London, England, November of 1888. If you don't know anything about this game, I sort of remember the story, but it's been years since I've played this, so I'm actually going to be playing this kind of anew. I mean, I don't remember who did it, so I'm going to have to solve this thing all over again. Yeah. Oh, hey, kitty. All right, so in the alley behind the Regency Theater. Hang on, I have to make my cat happy. Get off the cable here, cat. It's around your paws. Okay, there we go. Got the cat untangled. Alright, so I'm going to be trying to give my best commentary as we go through this game. I may edit out the boring bits, if I get stumped and I'm, walking around searching for something for about, an hour. I'm not going to include that in. So yeah, if you see any cuts, that's just me cutting out the parts where I'm extraordinarily stupid and can't figure the thing out. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure this is not the first Sherlock Holmes video game, but I think it's the first one that had full voice acting, which was extraordinary for the time.
Yes?
Begging your pardon, ma'am. This is a note from Mr. Holmes from Inspector Lestrade of Scotland Yard.
Oh, very well. I'll see that he gets it. Thank you, Constable.
Have you been sufficiently fortified by Mrs. Hudson's murderous copy, Watson, to put your mind to this mystery?
Whatever are you on about, Holmes, so early in the morning?
I'm sorry to interrupt your reading, old man. Mrs. Hudson has just delivered a very intriguing note. Would you care to peruse it?
By all means. Mr. Holmes, a young woman has been brutally murdered outside the Regency Theatre in Oxford Street. The evidence here suggests that Jack the Ripper has emerged from under his rock in Whitechapel and struck savagely in Mayfair. Despite your contention that the Ripper's work is without motive, and therefore not suited for your methods, I believe you would find this case of interest, and the Yard would be most grateful to hear your opinions. G. Lestrade.
I will not deny his request. Watson, if you would accompany me, I should be glad to have you at my side.
With pleasure, Holmes. Lestrade seems finally to have recognized the value of your investigative techniques.
My blushes, Watson. Your compliment will turn my head. Let us see if I am truly worthy.
Such manners. Alright, I think we can skip the credits here. Yeah, there we go. Alright, the game is afoot. So, this is your very standard point-and-click adventure game. I'm a big fan of this style game. I've played tons of these games. Every single time a new adventure game comes out, I usually get it and play it. I've played all the Sherlock Holmes games in the series. This is, I think, my favorite, just because it's got a really in-depth story, as you'll see. So let's get right into it. Watson. Talk to Watson. Have you decided to wear your bowler hat for this investigation, Watson? Oh yeah, that's right. They don't have voice acting for all the dialogue. that would have been an inordinate amount of disk space for the time being, or for the time 1992. You know, I think this came on CD-ROM, but still, they were very limited on the amount of file space they had. All right, what else can we say? Have you already begun your journal entries, Doctor? Well, of course he has. Of course, Holmes. In any case, or any case in which you take an interest will certainly interest the world. I'm not going to say I'm not going to try to do these in a British accent because I have a terrible, terrible British accent. But who knows? We'll try. There's nothing to do here, so I guess we'll leave. Come along, Watson. The game's afoot. The game is afoot. Quite so, Holmes. Come on. I'm trying to skip the dialogue, but it doesn't always respond to the clicking. I think the emulator is a bit sluggish. Here we are outside of 221B. Let's talk to Wiggins. Are the rest of your lads available, Wiggins? They's at the ready, sir. Tell me what you need and I'll pass it on. There's 8 who's willing to work, so it'll cost 8 bob a day, plus the usual reward. Man, the little scam artist, Wiggins. What in the world is going on with the sound right now?
Kids never get this excited about cleaning teeth.
Oh,
You want
my goodness.
greenies?
But dogs do.
I have an advertisement playing in a web page. That's the quickest way to get me to close your website, is to have ads that play sound. Sorry about that. Let's see. I will be requiring your assistance, Wiggins. At your service, Mr. Holmes. You got a job for the irregulars? Well, no, Wiggins. Not just at the moment. Alright. We'll talk to him later. Jonas, the newsstand operator. My compliments, Mr. Rigby. The day finds you well, I trust. Come on. Indeed, Mr. Holmes. Business has been brisk. The great British public devours anything to do with the Ripper. While Jack's at work, my family's eating steak and kidney... Pud? I guess that's short for pudding. I have no idea. I don't know all this British stuff. Newsstand. Great. Alright. I guess we're out of here. Is there a quicker way to get to the map? No, I think that's it. Alright, so we're gonna visit the alley where this young woman was murdered. Inspector Lestrade. Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, very good of you to come so quickly. After you've thoroughly examined the scene, and the corpus... I don't know what that word is. Please share your observations with me. It's Latin. Right, so... what have we got here? Let's take a look at the corpse. A woman approximately 25 years old has had her jugular vein viciously slashed. This was certainly the cause of death. There are several non-fatal gashes on her abdomen, abrasions on the back of her neck, and scratches on her left ring finger. The distinct odor of a particularly cloying and inexpensive brand of perfume pervades the body. Alright. Let's see. So let's take a look at the abrasions. Alright, the abrasions on her neck imply that her attacker forcibly removed some sort of heavy chain or necklace. There are 3 separate lines where a chain scraped her neck, all of which are deep and vivid. Alright, so there's a necklace or something that was stolen. Let's take a look at knife wounds. The wounds were clearly made with a short blade perhaps the size and shape of a scalpel, close observation reveals that the blade was serrated, hence the name of this game, the Serrated Scalpel. There is a trace of a white powdery residue of unknown nature on the victim's coat immediately beside what appears to be the first of the abdominal wounds. So we will definitely want to get a sample of that. White powdery residue. The substance was most probably on the murderer's weapon at the time of the attack. Thorough chemical analysis. Yeah, we need to pick that up. So pick up white powdery residue. Great, got it. All right. Handbag. It is a simple silk-lined handbag, sometimes called a reticule. The contents: a pocket mirror, a tin of facial powder, a large metal key, a handkerchief, and some... I have no idea. This font is also not making this very easy to read. Anyway, that's not of interest here. Cigarette butts. Behind one corner of the crate are half a dozen cigarette ends, recently crushed into the dirt. The brand is common and smoked by thousands of Londoners. The smoker was a man wearing heavy shoes or work boots. Given the length of the butts, his fingers are most certainly stained by nicotine. Alright, good clue. Can we pick up cigarette butts? Take those with us. We'll check those out later. Cool. What do we got? A weather-beaten crate. This is a well-traveled but sturdy crate with a detachable cover. The name of the theaters on it. Footprints in the dirt nearby indicate someone standing here recently. So of course we know because we saw the opening sequence, but we know this is where the murderer hid. A battered piece of paper. Whatever. Barrels. Discarded stage props. Sure. What else we got? Iron bar. What's this? This is a 2-foot section of iron pipe. Both ends are corroded by rust. There's a trace of red paint on one end. Interesting. Can we take it? Alright. Oh, wait. Hang on. Can we take the handbag? I forgot. Please examine anything you like, but I shall need the handbag. Alright, that's fine, Lestrade. You can keep the handbag. Hat. Can we pick up the hat? No. Lestrade is not letting us do that. What does the constable have to say? Is everything here exactly as you found it? Nothing's been moved since I arrived, Mr. Holmes. I rang up the inspector, and he was most particular in his instructions. Touch nothing, he says. So I've been standing here like a lump. Alright, great. Do you have any information that would assist our investigation, Constable? No, Mr. Holmes, I'm sorry, but what with fending off the newspaper gents and half the nosy buggers in London, I've been preoccupied, as you might say. Alright, that sounds perfectly fine. Lestrade, what do you have to say? Is there anything you can tell me that isn't obvious from the scene, Inspector? The deceased was an actress here at the theatre, name of Sarah Caraway. She lived by herself out in Bayswater. According to our only witness, there's a sister, whereabouts presently unknown. The witness found the body, but remembers nothing of the person she saw fleeing the scene. You may talk to her if you like, though she's a bit in the way of being hysterical at the moment. She's in the victim's dressing room, through that door, and up the stairs. But before you go, I'd like you to confirm some theories of my own. Sure. Have you already decided on an explanation for the crime, Inspector? There is no doubt that this is the Ripper's doing. The fact that we are miles away from his habitual haunts in Whitechapel is of absolutely no significance. If he'd left his calling card, it would be no clearer. The man is a monster. What do we got here? I'm afraid I cannot give myself the pleasure of agreeing with you, Inspector. And being a man of scientific temperament, I doubt whether Dr. Watson would concur with your theory. Without hearing the results of the medical examiner's investigation, I would not even presume to have a theory. Quite right, Doctor. Mr. Holmes, I perhaps overstep ourselves, though I am certain that the... Wait, so he's trying to lump me in with him? No, sir. I disagreed with you from the beginning. Let's see. You seem very sure of your facts, Lestrade, but I believe there is evidence that contradicts your interpretation. I assure you that I have examined everything in great detail, Mr. Holmes. I seriously doubt that I have missed a significant clue. What have you seen that goes against my theory? Well, let's see here. I suspect you noticed that the victim's jewelry is missing. What do you make of that? I presume you are referring to the abrasions on her neck and hand. I didn't check her hand. I gotta check that again. As you well know, the Ripper takes selected items of jewelry from his victims. This further supports my case, Holmes. I believe that if my theory were flawed, you would be the man to set me straight, but it looks like you have nothing material to add. Well, not this early in the investigation. The killer's choice of weapon is most telling, don't you think? Indeed, my professional eye tells me that this woman was killed with a surgeon's scalpel, and we know the Ripper uses a scalpel with the skill of a medical man. Isn't that so, Dr. Watson? From what I have read, Inspector, the answer is yes, but I would not presume to commit myself before the autopsy is completed. I must say that if a scalpel was used, it was a dull one. The wounds appear a bit ragged. Well, that's as may be. I'm certain that the medical examiner will confirm my observation that a surgeon's scalpel was the instrument of death. Mr. Holmes, do you have any credible reason to believe that the weapon was not a scalpel? Well, the absence of a perfume bottle on her purse is a vital clue. If you look closely at the victim's coat and at the wounds, you may notice that the fatal blade had a serrated edge. Let's try that. If you look closely at the victim's coat and at the wounds, you may notice that the fatal blade had a serrated edge. Dr. Watson, can one find a serrated scalpel in a physician's black bag? I regret, Inspector, that I know of no such instrument in the hands of any medical man. That is unusual, but I suspect that it is insignificant. I never said the Ripper was a doctor. Perhaps his other scalpel lost its razor edge. He's done enough foul work with it, heaven knows. Let's not confuse the investigation with trivialities, gentlemen. Perhaps the murderer was imitating the style of Jack the Ripper. The gutter press has been filled with lurid accounts of the fiend's disgusting exploits. Perhaps won't feed the bulldog, Doctor. I need facts. Mr. Holmes, my hypothesis is that the Ripper is responsible for this brutal murder. Because there may be a bit of confusion surrounding the serrated blade, I will concentrate my efforts on the question of the murder weapon. But I would not be adverse to you and Dr. Watson looking further into this entire matter if you wish. You may speak with the witness in the victim's dressing room, and you may want to examine the victim's flat at 21 Parade Street. Okay. You know what? Before we go any further, let me try something here. That's a little bit better. Try a different font, one that's a little bit easier for me to read. My eyes are terrible. Were we able to examine the hand, or that was part of the abrasions? Or no, scratches. Hang on. A light skin discoloration encircles the ring finger on her left hand and suggests that the victim wore a ring. The scratches result from the ring being wrenched from her finger by the murderer. Alright, so Had to establish that. So, ring missing, something around her neck, and she was stabbed. Alright. Backstage entrance.